more resources and information. So who we are, there's 3 trainers right now with At Your Service Dog Training. I'm the founder. I started training my first service dog in 1998 when I was disabled myself, and I spent 16 years training 3 successive service dogs for myself. I used to work in disability information and referral, so I was already in the disability world. And then I recovered my health and I started apprenticing with other dog trainers, and I opened my own business At Your Service Dog Training in 2014, focusing on helping other people with disabilities to train their own service dogs. I'm a certified professional dog trainer, knowledge assessed by the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. And I'm also a Karen Pryor Academy certified training partner. Alex Weiss, who's going to be answering your questions today, has been a professional trainer since 2015. They also have personal experience training 2 service dogs for themselves. One was a career change to be an emotional support animal, and the other is in training now. Alex has been working for At Your Service Dog Training since 2019 and is a certified professional dog trainer, knowledge assessed. Some of Alex's passions are training deaf dogs and deaf-blind dogs, and doing really high-level skilled training like what's needed for public access training where you have a really high level of reliability. The feedback that I get very reliably from clients and students is that Alex is very kind, very patient, and is a very clear instructor. So you'll get to appreciate that today. And then our 3rd trainer is Eli McCullough. Eli grew up raising guide dog puppies and then was in my mentorship program for dog trainers for a year, and now is training in pet classes in nearby area, and also now is running our board and train, is doing our board and train program for service dogs. So that's who we are. What we do is work with people with disabilities and their families to train their own service dog, whether it's a physical or psychiatric service dog. We do also help people to find the right dog to train. That's a particular passion of mine because the first few years I was doing this, I realized that about 85% of the dogs that people brought to me to train were just not cut out for that job. So when I help people to find the right dog, it really significantly increases the success rate. But we also work with lots of people who already have the dog they want to train. We do online training and group classes, and also private lessons. And then we also do on-site training, going to people's homes if they're in our area, or having people travel to us if they're a little bit out of the area. And then we have the board and train option. We do a little bit of a few other things that are sort of related. We sometimes do emotional support animal training or pet training for handlers with disabilities, a little bit of therapy dog training, and I do consult with other trainers. So people who are pet professionals who want to learn about service dog training or want help modifying training for a disabled handler, things like that. And mentoring also other trainers. We work with people with a wide variety of disabilities, mobility impairments. Lots of our clients have psychiatric disabilities, sometimes hearing disabilities, deaf or hard of hearing, and then occasionally various other things like traumatic brain injury or sensory processing disorder. So go ahead and type your questions in the chat if that works for you. If not, you can also go ahead and unmute yourself if that's better. I'm going to be reading the questions aloud for Alex in case they don't see all of them. And we'll just get started with that. And I'm going to get rid of this share now because I think that's the last slide for now. And then we'll come back to it at the end to go over resources and more information. And hi, Claire, welcome. Thank you for introducing yourself. And yes, you're bringing home a puppy on Friday. That's very exciting.
So my question is, first of all, what treats are good to start with a puppy that young? That's my first question. And the second question is, how can I start socializing her when she's not fully vaccinated yet?
Okay, so um, when it comes to, and congratulations on the puppy, I'm Alex. When it comes to the treats, I generally recommend using uh, starting somewhat slowly with a puppy if you're worried about an upset stomach, if you know that that is something that they could be prone to, or if it's something that you notice once they do get home.
Right.
But I recommend using a lot of wet, fresh type foods as really high value treats. I also recommend using a lot of kibble if your dog is excited about that and using their average nutrition for training throughout the day. Sharon, do you have anything to add on treats for puppies?
No, I mean, it depends a lot. Yeah, like Alex said on the dog's food drive. So for a very foodie puppy, I usually mostly use the kibble. Um, and then really the only thing that I have ever found to be sort of an issue for puppies with treats that's not an issue sometimes for adult dogs is that when you're house training, you don't want to give them treats that have a lot of sodium in it,
Okay.
because that tends to make them drink a lot. So, be
Right.
careful of like hot dogs. But, but I agree with everything that Alex
So for
said.
wet food, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so what I mean is things like boiled chicken is a very
Okay.
common one that I'll use. Things that are moist that can be broken or cut into very small pieces.
Cheese? Well, cheese might be high in sodium.
Cheese, yeah, Sharon,
Cheese.
cheese. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes, so I was about to say string cheese, I find to be really
Okay.
convenient and
All right.
easy to cut up and break down into really tiny pieces for the
Mhm.
smaller puppies. Um, and it lasts a long time. It's easy to grab from the fridge. But I would say that cheddar cheese is also a common favorite that I see among a lot of dogs.
All right. Then I'll start with string cheese and boiled chicken when kibble doesn't seem to be enough.
Yes, and there are also things that you could get that are more shelf stable, sort of moist treats
Hmm.
in pet shops. So those are also options. There's oh shit, goodness, Sharon, I'm blanking on some of the names of things at the moment.
You mean like Happy Howie's or Red Barn Roll?
That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
think of. Yes, yeah,
yeah.
okay. And
And
then
then the second
oh,
question was about how do you socialize a puppy because of until they reach 16 weeks and they're fully
right,
vaccinated.
yes. Yes. So we don't recommend bringing puppies somewhere where there are a high volume of unknown dogs. So things like dog parks, I wouldn't recommend. Um, I it can be a good idea to be on the more cautious side if you are bringing your puppy into somewhere that you're unsure about. Carrying them rather than always having them on the floor in places like a pet shop where there's more
Right.
unknown dogs. Um, and but the American Veterinary Association has put out their statement that the risks of not socializing your puppy are greater than the risks of them not being fully vaccinated if you are approaching it in a cautious way.
Mhm.
So some options are to socialize them with dogs that you personally know, have seen interact with other dogs, know their temperament,
Mhm.
and know the vaccination history of them. So with my dog when he was a puppy, I introduced him to colleagues' dogs who I really knew the history of those dogs. Um, it's also helpful to just have your puppy seeing things in the world, even if it is a place where it's not safe to really have them interact uh,
Right.
with those things.
So car rides or walking down the street, but not going in somewhere.
Right. There's also uh, socialization we tend to think of as something to do with mostly seeing and meeting dogs, seeing and meeting people, but there's also aspects of bring up weird things from your basement for your dog to see and investigate. Bring out a weird textured thing that they can walk across.
Mhm.
Really everyday things at home. And videos are great for sound socialization.
Mhm.
Um, and Yeah, I always want to let Sharon jump in if she's got things I'm forgetting in the moment.
So again, I agree with everything Alex said. I'll post the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior position statement on socialization in the chat, the link, so you can take a look at
Okay.
that. Um, yeah, I mean, one of the nice things in this day and age is there are a lot of pet-friendly stores that don't tend to have a lot of people bringing their dogs. So, like Barnes and Noble or LL Bean or
Oh,
Michael's.
is Barnes and
So
Noble pet friendly?
usually, yeah. So what I usually recommend to people is to Google like pet friendly store in my area and go to a
Okay.
place that's not a pet store. Like Alex said, I would carry your
Mhm.
puppy through a pet store if you were going to bring them in there. But to go to a place where they can experience the world with the likelihood of a lot of other dogs there being pretty minimal.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sharon. Yes, for reminding me of that. Okay.
Anyone else have any questions? You can also, if you don't want to type in the chat, you can also just unmute yourself and ask aloud.
Hi, this is Kristen. Um, I've worked with both of you before. I have little Finley. Um,
Oh, hi, Kristen.
yeah, sorry, I'm not on video because I'm just not I'm a mess right now, so
Okay.
um but so we've had a lot of improvement. So that's good to report. Like we've been able to leave him for 4 hours, and I'm sure we can probably leave him for more. We just haven't really had a need, so that's good. And he's like calmed down a little bit, like with his excitement. I think that might have been due to like his neutering. I don't know. So that's awesome because it just was like, who's this dog? Like, what happened? um, but like some other things have been like, I don't know. Now he like doesn't like his crate anymore. And I don't know if that's because when we got him neutered, we didn't have him sleep in it anymore. So maybe because like he had the cone on, so he couldn't really fit. So I don't know if like if you have any advice on that, like, and if that's like normal to like kind of go through these like ups and downs.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to something that a dog was good with, was fine
Hmm.
with in the past, and then that changes, um, I kind of go through a process of trying to think of all of the different possibilities that it might be in that circumstance. Um, for example, I once had this happen with a dog who they had just turned off the air conditioning in the house and the crate was getting too hot with the bedding in it. This doesn't sound like that situation,
Hmm.
but just to illustrate the type of different things that it can be, either a change in how they're experiencing that situation,
Hmm.
a negative experience that they've had, becoming familiarized with it. Um, and I would say that a lot of our reasons would fit into one of those three things. So it sounds to me in this situation like we may have more of an unfamiliarized category going on.
Yeah.
And so what I would recommend for getting him used to going in there at being a positive thing again
Hmm.
is to uh, try and associate it with really good stuff. So if remind me, is Finley excited about his meals?
Yes.
Yes. So you can feed meals in the crate. If
Yes, we do
clothing,
that. Hmm.
okay, all right. You can give high value chews in the crate.
Okay.
I like to use it as sort of a second toy box when I'm not putting them in there as well. Put favorite things inside of the crate. Um, And sometimes I'll even close up something for a little while that smells really good in there just to build up some sort of excitement about I might want to be inside of that crate. Um, so hopefully something there is helpful for getting you on the road to liking the crate
Okay.
once more. And then really short experiences that are very positive, building
Okay.
those up slowly.
And should I like kind of start from scratch again and like not shut the door and like just start over?
Great question. It's really dependent on what sort of behavior you're seeing from him
Okay.
at the moment. So I would try and stick with positive experiences
Okay.
and not move on to something that is that's creating stress that you're perceiving from him just yet. So if closing the door is something he's not really paying much attention to, then I think
Okay.
it's fine. If you start to close the door and he tries to run out before you've gotten it closed, that would be a situation where I wouldn't yet close the door.
Okay. Yeah, he's just laying down. Like I'm just doing like feeding him treats in there, asking for a down. He'll down and then I say stay, walk away, kind of come back, then I'll like shut the door for a little bit. Like he seems fine, but like he's still not like excited to go in there anymore. So it's like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I guess just repeat and like maybe get some higher value things going on in there.
right. I think that's a
Okay.
fabulous idea. And doing sessions where you're just building up excitement about the act of getting into the crate could be helpful.
Okay.
So doing some training sessions where it's once you get in the crate, you get treats in there, and then I give you a release cue to come out,
Yeah.
so that you are building up that excitement about going in, hopefully. But higher value is a really good way to go to build drive in a highly food motivated dog.
Perfect. Thanks. And I
You're
also wanted to say thank you for the recommendation for Emma. She's actually working with me again now. I like actually um my health wasn't too good there, so we took a little break. But she's back working with me and she's been so great. So I appreciate that. Thanks for the recommendation, Sharon.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Just a little background for some folks who haven't been training with us. So Kristen, in addition to everything that Alex said, also, you do still have access to our client portal, and we do have the crate training handout
Mm-hmm.
in there, so you can refer to that. So anybody who's a client of ours who does private lessons or group classes, you get access for life to all of our training tip sheets and videos, which there are over 100 easily in there. So just that's something for folks to know about. And also what Kristen is mentioning is that she's not in our local area, so she did some online classes with us and then did an in-person workshop that we did, like a weekend workshop. And I had recommended to her to find a rewards-based trainer in her area who could do some in-person things that I thought would be helpful for them. So I found a trainer that I thought would be a good fit and referred her to that person. So that's something that we also do is team training, where we want to do what works best for each individual team. And sometimes that's working with us, and sometimes it's working with a combination of, a pet trainer in your area and us online or whatever. So that's just just wanted to give people that background. I'm glad to hear that, Kristen. That's great.
Oh, one other thing, like I know we're a little bit more behind on the bronze testing. Is that okay? Like there's no real timeline to it, right? It's just when he's ready, we can test.
Yeah, I might, Sharon, can I defer to you on this one? This would be the sort of question I
Sure.
would check with
Yeah.
Sharon on before answering.
So we'll talk a little bit about this coming up, but we have a series of classes. We have the Pearl disc class and the Bronze disc class, and then the Silver, and they're each 10 weeks. And there's an assessment after each one before you can move on to the next one. And the Pearl Disc one, we do those assessments ourselves. And then for the Bronze, we require that somebody that the dog hasn't worked with before in person do the assessment. So sometimes that's us. you know, if I've worked with the team and Alex hasn't, then they can do it, or vice versa. Or if we've only worked with somebody online, we can do it. But often what we'll do is we'll find a trainer in the area that meets our criteria for certifications and experience and refer to somebody in their area to do it. And yeah, there's no timeline, so you can do it whenever you feel like you and your dog are ready. You know, whenever you pass it, then you can move on to the next class.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was like worried I was behind, but it's like it's all, what is it? Fast and slow. That's what you said.
Slow is fast. And actually, Alex, I was going to say, I think you're wearing
Yeah,
the t-shirt,
slow is
right?
fast.
Yeah.
I was gonna call back to that. I forgot to show you the shirt about the crate. So yeah.
Mhm. And like he has made so many improvements, and like the one thing is the crate. So it's like, yeah, once we get that under control, and like it's been going amazing. So
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Okay. Any other questions at the moment?
Just wanted to give Dorothy or Allison a chance to jump in. If you have a question, feel free. And if not, we can go back to the slides with some resources and wrap up. And welcome back, Claire. All right, so I'm going to start this share again so we can talk about some of the resources that you can get more information. And oops, sorry, I'm having an issue with my, there we go. And if you do still have questions, you can also jump in at that point.
Oh, password question. I don't think that we got the password question, Sharon. It looks like.
Oh, no. So once you register for a class um, or um, or a lesson package, then you will get an email that has the password for the client portal along
Okay.
with all of
I
your,
s-
yeah.
I signed up for the class starting Wednesday at 5:30 for
Oh,
next.
okay.
So I
You
didn't,
should have gotten an email, a confirmation email for the class.
maybe I'll check.
Yeah, it should be in the email. It should be in that email. Lori, our office manager, is on jury duty today. So, um, so if you don't get it, feel free to email her or me, and she can sort it out for you when she's back in the office. But we're just a little bit, it's just a little bit of an unusual situation because she got called to jury duty yesterday. So, but that's great. We're looking forward to have you in class. All right. So let's see. Sorry, go ahead,
Oh, I was
Alex.
saying that we would be posting Lori's email later, so you'll have
Oh,
it.
yeah. Let's see. So here we go. Oops. So for those who don't yet have a dog to train, or you have a dog that you think will not necessarily flourish, be happy, you know, and um, might not be the right fit for service dog training, we do have resources. So for one thing, we do have the free informational video that's on our homepage of our website. If you haven't watched that yet, we always encourage everybody to start by watching it. It's 45 minutes or 43 minutes, so it's not short, but it does have information on what to look, you know, what are the sort of the characteristics of a dog who's likely to be happy and do well as a service animal, what's involved in sort of in terms of like time and finances and things like that. So it's a really helpful thing to watch if you're starting out on this journey. And then if you decide from there you really do want to get a dog to train, then we recommend getting our webinar. It's 3 hours, so it's two 1.5 hour webinars. And it includes information also on, you know, when owner training is likely to be the right option for somebody. Maybe getting a trained dog from a program is a better option. So we sort of go into what are the pros and cons for different situations about whether to train your own service dog or get a trained dog from a program, what to look for in a breeder. The materials that come along with it also include things like on fundraising and working with rescues and stuff like that. So it's just a lot of information. That's the next starting point if you're looking to get a dog to train. And then from there, if you've watched the webinar and you feel like, yes, I really want to go forward with getting a dog who's has a high likelihood of working out as a service animal, then we recommend doing an pre-adoption consultation and dog search support. So up to 5 hours of additional help with finding the right dog and sort of navigating your way through the process of finding the right dog is included with the consultation. So that's the next step if you're looking to get a dog. If you have a dog you want to train already and you want to start, especially with a puppy, our program is called the Dogs in Service Certification, or DISC program. It's a series of courses that's designed exclusively for people who are training a service dog for themselves or a family member. It's a levels program, so there's 10 classes in the first course, then you go through an assessment, and then there's a second course of 10 classes. It starts with puppies, and it goes up through public access skills and the foundations for task training. We can't really go into details of task training because it is a class, so it's going to be different tasks for different types of disabilities. We only allow 4 teams per class, so we keep the classes really small. So there's a lot of individual coaching, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from people that that's something they love about our classes. So the classes are online. The first one in the series is Pearl, which stands for Pup Engaged, Attentive, Relaxed, and Learning. So the Pearl Disc course is 10 weeks. At the end, you can earn your Pearl Disc a pin that your pup can wear on their vest and a certificate. You do that by having your dog show that they have learned the 5 of the key skills in the class, and we also have a knowledge assessment where we just ask you to answer some questions to make sure that you have learned all of the training and handling skills and concepts that are so important to be able to train your own service dog. It's for any dog of any age, but it's geared toward puppies who are 8 weeks and older. We've had a lot of people bring adolescents and adult dogs through who have gotten a lot out of it too. And every lesson plan is focused on succeeding in a real life scenario, a trip to the veterinarian or a trip to a restaurant or a grocery store or going to the emergency department or what have you. We offer both classes and private lessons. When you take a class with us, especially, but also lessons, you become part of a community of other service dog in training teams. So we have a private group that you can join and share videos of your dog's training, ask questions. You can get answers from the trainers, but also from other people who are going through it too. Like I mentioned before, you get lifelong access to our over 100 training tip sheets and videos, and you'll also get homework sheets and video recordings from every online class or lesson that you do. So you can save those and watch them again later. So that's the beauty of doing an online class, is even if you can't make it to one of them, you still get the recording, which has all of the instruction, and you can see people getting coached in training their dogs. The next classes coming up that are Pearl Disc, which is our level 1 course. Pearl is level 1, Bronze is level 2, Silver is level 3. The next one is these are the ones that still have availability. Wednesday at 5:30 Eastern or 2:30 Pacific, starting on September 18th, which is next week, and Thursdays at noon, at 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 Eastern, starting on October 3. if you want to register for one of those classes, Alex has put the link in the chat. Thank you. And that cost for the 10 lessons also includes the assessment at the end. If you try to go register and these are full, or for any other things that you have questions about, feel free to email Lori, our amazing office manager, and that's her email address on the screen, and she is super helpful. Like I said, we also offer private training online or on site. Usually the private training is primarily for a more advanced training like public access issues or advanced task training. But sometimes something comes up where somebody wants to do some troubleshooting on something. And if you do pre-adoption consulting and dog search support where we help you find your dog to train, we'll also do private lessons with you if you would like for that. And we have a board and train program now. Eli is our board and train trainer, and that is for any stage of training, whether it's puppy raising and basic manners, especially if you have trouble getting out to socialize your dog or get your dog out into public. That's something that he can help with, and any sort of training skills or troubleshooting that you need. The other thing that I offer is mentorship and consulting for professional trainers. So if that's something that you are interested in, if there's professional trainers in this chat, I can help with that. I am presenting at a trainers retreat coming up on October 4th through 6th. Sarah Matters and Debbie Jacobs are the hosts, and they'll be presenting on various aspects of applied behavior analysis with dogs, and I'll be presenting on some things that are particularly useful for service dog training, but are actually also useful for anyone who is working with animals and humans. And there will be other species there to train, like sheep and I think sheep and goats, and it's an animal sanctuary, so there's various species. And we also have on our website a free ebook. It's geared toward pet trainers who have service dogs in like a manners class or a puppy kindergarten, but we have also had plenty of people who are training their own service dog who've said it was helpful. So Alex has put the link for that. If you want to access the ebook, you can get that from our website as well. I already mentioned we've got the informational video on our website, and our website we have a Facebook page where we post fun and interesting facts and resources and upcoming events. We have a YouTube channel where I sort of sporadically post videos. If you're in a wheelchair, I've heard a lot of feedback from folks that they really like the videos on training from a wheelchair. But we have videos on a variety of topics relating to service dog training that you might find helpful. And then we also have a newsletter which goes out about every couple of months that has resources, information, and it can, tips on service dog training. So that's also a free resource. So that's it for what we have prepared. If anybody has any questions that we haven't answered, you can feel free to jump in with that right now. We're happy to answer any other questions. Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never had a really young puppy before because my other service dog I got already trained. And so like I'm gonna set up a pen in the living room so she has a safe space to be in when I'm not 100% paying attention to her. And she's not crate trained yet. And I'm just thinking through the first few nights, it's like I want her to be in the bedroom with me, but if she's not crate trained yet, I don't know if she'd want to be in a crate, but I don't want her loose because she's not fully potty trained yet. So like, what's any suggestions on how I should handle the first few nights?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to if you did try having her in the crate, what I would recommend is having it very close to you where you can offer comfort if needed. That was extremely helpful with my own puppy. I've had a lot of clients who that has helped their puppy to settle in with that. Um, and sometimes it depends for me on what I see with the puppy once I have them there
Right.
and I'm introducing the crate, not at night. So seeing how they do with if there's something exciting in there, there's an interesting toy, there's some really good food. Are they happy to waltz in and settle there with it?
Right.
Are they happy for you to close the door and give a few treats? So it really depends on how, for me, the dog is reacting to the crate itself before it's time for bed.
Okay. And so I'm assuming I'll bring her home in the crate. Because I'll be the only one in the car, so I'm not gonna be holding her while I'm driving.
Got it, right.
But I've also seen those little puppy boxes that have the seatbelt attached thing to it that you can put in the back seat.
Mhm.
And because I know she's gonna outgrow it, I don't know if I should do that or if I should just stick her in the crate on the way home and hope everything goes good, or I'm overthinking the first few days.
As I think it's normal to do when we've got a puppy. There's a lot of planning to be done and there's a lot of excitement. But with that, one thing I think of with the car is a safety aspect. Riding in a crate is generally the safest
Okay.
option. And so there's that element. I personally went with, we'll go with safety when I brought my puppy home. It's
Yeah.
usually what I do recommend. Um, Sharon, do you have thoughts on this one?
Yes.
A chance to.
So, um, in my experience, most puppies, yeah, I always put them in a crate for the drive home. Just feel like that's just what needs to happen. And usually, what happens, typically in my experience, is you put them in the crate, you start driving, they cry for a little bit because, like, what's happening? Like, everything is different all of a sudden, and then they fall asleep. So that's
Okay.
usually what happens on the way home. I've never heard of a puppy who just on the drive home from the breeder is like
Not like the cat I
traumatized
used to
by
have that
that.
would just whine the entire time.
Yeah, usually not. Cats are usually a lot less willing to be crated for car rides than dogs. And then yeah, like what Alex said, I would work on crate training during the day,
Mhm.
so that you're building a really positive association to the crate during the day. One thing that I really like to do that I've done with the last couple of puppies that I had was because a lot of times we, especially people who are training the dog as a future service dog, eventually want the dog to be able to sleep in the bed with them. And because of this sort of stressful transition for the puppy and us as the new owner, um, often what works for people is when you bring the puppy home, that you actually have the puppy sleep in bed with you the first couple of nights,
Okay.
because that is comforting to the puppy. The puppy is less likely to be freaked out. And usually the puppy just sleeps because they're cuddled up against their person. And when they start moving around is when we wake up and realize the puppy has to go to the bathroom. And then you take the puppy out and then you bring them back in and you go to sleep. So you're doing that at night. And then during the day, what you're doing is training the puppy that the crate is where all the good things happen. Like Alex
Okay.
was saying earlier, that's where you feed your feeder toys and your treats and you just do a lot of training that like the crate is the best. And then again, like Alex said, you're going to bring the crate into the bedroom because it's a puppy. The crate's going to be on the small side. So
Right.
this is doable. So what you're going to do is once you've got some pretty good crate, just a couple days at most, you want to get this transition happening pretty fast. Then you're going to let the puppy fall asleep in bed with you and then pop the puppy into the crate on the bed. So hopefully if you have room on your bed for
Yeah.
the crate,
It's a queen size bed and it's just me. So yeah.
perfect. Put the puppy in the crate on the bed and then the puppy sleeps in the crate on the bed. And then the next night you can put the crate on the floor, puppy falls asleep in the bed, put the puppy in the crate on the floor. If
Mhm.
the puppy wakes up during the night, you can pick the crate up and stick it back on your bed. And then eventually then you have the puppy go into the crate on the bed at night,
Right.
falls
Or
asleep
on
in
the
the
floor,
crate, put it
hopefully.
on the floor,
Yeah.
and then eventually it's on the floor. So you're sort of slowly transitioning the puppy into the crate.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
become my sort of favorite way to do it.
That sounds good because my maternal instincts are I want to sleep with the puppy. But so yeah, that makes sense for the first few nights. Thank you.
Yeah, just get that transition going as fast as you can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
I thought
Yeah.
of a few other tips while Sharon was talking here. The first is if it gives you more confidence with having the puppy in bed with you at first. I found some comfort with my guy in having a waterproof bed protector and having a spare set of sheets that was clean at the time, so that just in case, I don't think it actually ever happened, but just in case, then it's there in the middle of the night if you do need it. And for the crate in on the drive home in the car, I found that having if you're driving a long distance, are you going several hours?
It's only half an hour.
Oh, okay. All right. So still an option, but not as necessary. But having a disposable pee pad, but that does not have an attractant lining the crate, so
Okay.
that if there is an accident, you're not arriving home with a puppy
A
that's
mess.
covered in that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
One other thought I just had, I'm on the fence whether I should bring my current service dog with me when I get the puppy. Like for the ride home, like, do I want them to meet and be in the car together? So like, or should I just wait till I get, like, I think it really doesn't make a huge difference. Probably simpler to leave my dog at home, but just thinking like, well, maybe the puppy will feel comforted knowing there's another animal with him in the back. I don't-
Yeah, I'd usually recommend meeting on neutral ground, if at all possible.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that riding in the car together, especially if they're going to be very close to each other, can be a bit much at first. Of
Okay.
course, it depends on the individual dogs, but without knowing them, I lean towards I wouldn't bring the current dog to
So
pick up a
I know
puppy.
my dog, he gets excited the first 5 minutes. There's a new dog in the house, and then he just settles right down. So I feel
Mhm.
like he would get excited, but then once they were in the car, he would just settle right down.
Right.
But of course, I don't know the puppy yet. So
Right. Yeah. So and there's already a lot of new things and changes happening around the puppy, and
Mhm.
so I in my experience, I think it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes to then add another dog into all of that right at that
That
moment.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, if Sharon has anything to add there, feel free.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you don't need to bring your service dog, I would leave it at home, like Alex said, neutral um, initial meeting where you have, sort of some control and preparation. And also one thing that's tricky about bringing a puppy into a home where there's an adult dog is you want to make sure that the puppy's primary bond is with you. So I'd really try to focus on those first few days of making sure that, you want them to be happy and to be friends and to have a good rapport, but you want to really make sure that you are front and center of the puppy's universe. Otherwise, it's really easy for the puppy to, bond a lot with your older dog.
Thank you, Sharon.
All right. Well, it looks like that's everything. Thank you so much for all your questions, and thanks to everybody who came, and hopefully it was useful. Feel free, if you have other questions, to drop us a line. You can do that via our website or directly to Lori at office@yourservicedogtraining.com. And Kristen, it was great to hear from you again. I'm so glad to get the update on Finley. And Claire, congratulations on your new puppy, and we're looking forward to meeting that puppy. And I hope it was helpful, Dorothy and Allison, for you as well. And thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Echoing what Sharon said, it was great to see you and hear about Finley, Kristen, and to congratulations on the new puppy. And I'm excited to work with you guys. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.